This isn't about your redemption. This is about my ascension.
Thought Mercedes was long gone, but now the statement maker cinched in.
Okay, guys, we are breaking down the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. We're heading into the finals. Very prestigious tournament. You know, looking at what these guys went through, Hangman Adam Page defeating the wild card and Josh Alexander, then going on to defeat Kyle Fletcher, moving into the finals. Will Ospreay taking out Kevin Knight, then moving on to Konosuke Takeshita, now moving on to take on Hangman. So this is our finals as we head into Double or Nothing. Ospreay was the very first man to put his name in the hat for the tournament, and it felt to me like this tournament was his from the get-go. Does it still feel that way to you guys?
No, it does not at all. I think since Ospreay has called his shot, a lot has happened, not only in the company, but in Hangman.
Sure.
I think a lot has started to change. It's been really pointed out and accepted that our fans were behind him no matter what. And he has certainly shown not a more softer side. I don't think I could ever say that about him.
He's been nicer to me, which I'll take, because sometimes he's a little difficult to get an interview with.
That's a step in the right
That's
direction.
been nice. It's kind of rare for a wrestler to have that quality, that like intangible quality where people are just sort of drawn to his style, to his presence. Is that something that kind of resonates with someone like Owen for you?
He's got that unique charisma, and I'm not going to say that just our fan base loves him, because I think there is a portion that does, but I think the one thing that just oozes out of Hanger, really since the day I met him, is that he really marches to the beat of his own drum. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot to be said with that in this day and age.
There's also, I mean, for us to say like, oh, everyone here in AEW loves Hangman, we could go on about that, but then you look at Ospreay, I think like around the world it's very universally known. He's the best wrestler to put on a pair of boots.
Very likable too. He's got a natural boy next door charisma that oozes through.
I thought I was the only person he said, "How you doing, love?" He says it to everyone he passes. Thought we had a moment.
Likability only gets you so far in this business.
Well, sure, but that's not stuff. I don't think that we're hanging our hat on that with Ospreay. I mean, the guy goes bell to bell. The guy's insane.
Are you just in a bad mood today?
I'm just saying, and I also think we forget when I'm thinking about key losses to be a contrarian, is that Hangman lost in the four-way to Mox.
Yes.
Just a few months ago. It wasn't that long ago. He's had a taste of this Jon Moxley. Ospreay has not.
True. I mean, you know, the only history between Jon and Ospreay goes back to New Japan. They have not wrestled here in AEW. That's been a good chunk of time. You go from a New Japan schedule to what we're doing here, that's going to put a little more wear and tear on your body moving into this tournament.
In the travel, and I've talked to Will about that. He commutes. Since this tournament is really your pathway to a world title shot, there's so many stakes. Will, at the end of the day, is a big money match guy.
He's a big money match guy, but he's also a big tournament guy. I mean, you want to go back and looking at the G1s and success that he's been able to have in that kind of a situation. We've seen Hangman in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament before. He went to the finals last year against Bryan. But yeah, I mean, you want to look at tournament style. Of course, there are different types of tournaments. But I think that that's something that kind of lends to a bit of a heads up for Ospreay in this tournament.
The trajectory of AEW wrestlers' career, it changed last year when the winner of Owen gets to essentially main event our biggest show of the year. That's a lot riding on it.
So we look at the tournament, we look at Will Ospreay, Hangman Adam Page. Depending on what these two do, one of those men going on to face Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship at All In. Who do you want to see in that match? Who is that big marquee match when it gets down to the nitty-gritty? Do you want to talk about who you think's going to be heading into All In for that world title shot?
I kind of want to say Hangman. I kind of want to.
Contrarian is your word today.
Well, I just think about his record against Jon.
Sure.
Texas death matches.
There's something about Hangman in Texas as well. I mean, I know he's not from Texas, but he's got that whole cowboy motif going on.
Having said that, I just don't know how he would beat Ospreay. I just can't see it. I want to see it, but I can't.
So are you saying Ospreay?
That's what I'm saying. Now you're jumping.
You're jumping. I flopped. I flipped, and I'm flopping. Ospreay.
Wow.
Move
okay.
on, let's
well,
move on.
okay. I mean, can I be the contrarian
Yeah,
then
let's hear
and
it.
say I do think that it's going to be Hangman. I think Hangman is a man that's going to learn from the mistakes. I don't think he's going to choke, as MJF has said. I think that this is his time to really step up. He feels to me like he's really kind of the backbone of this company. If somebody is going to pull that world title out of that briefcase, to me, it feels like he's the guy to do it.
I'm going with Will. The international flavor, he's on a roll. He's just, in no uncertain terms, as it stands today, I don't think you can say Hangman's unstoppable. You just talked about a loss. In 2025, Will's unstoppable.
There's also something to be said about this style of tournament, that it is a single elimination where, no one's getting another opportunity. We're not going based off of a point system. And as you know, when that bell rings, it could be anybody's night.
That's right.
Somebody could be having an off day. Somebody could be, dealing with some kind of injury. Who knows what it could be, but it could be anybody's night.
I'm pumped today.
Me too.
That's good.
Coming up next, we are going to break down the women of this tournament. We've got Mercedes Moné taking on Jamie Hayter. That's coming up next.
What a finals.
This match, personally, I cannot wait to see these women finally get in the ring together. Jamie Hayter taking on Mercedes Moné, finals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament for the women's side of things. Jamie had taken out Billy Stark's first round, moving on to Chris Statlander in the semifinals, and moving on to the finals against Mercedes. Mercedes faced Julia Hart the first round, then Athena. That match was absolutely insane, by the way, taking her into the finals. How is this one going to shake out? Who is going to finally dethrone Mercedes Moné? She has not lost a singles match since being here in AEW. Someone's gonna have to do it at some point. Someone is going to have to beat her. Who's up to the task? Is it Jamie?
At this level, at this stage, I think she is no doubt going to be way overconfident. I think she's going to be not taking Jamie serious, and that, at the end of the day, Jamie has had not just a few rough months, a few rough years to getting back to this level.
When you think of All In last year, the return of Jamie Hayter, and what that reaction was like, I feel like she was somebody that we were truly missing from the women's division. And like you said, there's kind of been those ups and downs of starts and stops with her since coming back. She was out with injury for such a long time, but a former women's champion.
Yep.
And one of the hardest hitting women that we have in all of AEW. Once we get to Double or Nothing, I know that weeks will have passed since that match with Athena leading up to it, but God, those women beat the shit out of each other. So I imagine her body's got to be feeling a little worse for wear, while also defending all these other belts in other promotions and blah, blah, blah.
Spreading herself thin.
That's right.
I also think I've never seen the Owen tournament like this, where there are multiple champions in the tournament.
Right.
Athena,
Right.
Ring of Honor champion, Mercedes, TBS champion. Tells you how prestigious the Owen is. Mercedes is certainly a big fan of Owen. She's not made that a secret. But also how big this title looms.
Yes.
Toni Storm's world championship.
Yes.
It was a huge gamble for Athena to be in the tournament. She
Yeah.
lost her first singles match in over 600
It's
days.
crazy.
That's gotta
She
affect
went down
her.
swinging, though. I'll give her that.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah.
But what are the ramifications of Jamie Hayter beating Mercedes?
Yeah.
Mercedes has not lost. What if she loses here? She doesn't lose the title, luckily for her.
How many times have we seen in sports that the dominant, call it number one seed, just rolls through a tournament and they have their eye on the prize and they get upset? Mercedes is, I know her. She is so laser focused on Toni, her eyes can't see straight, because that is the magnetic, the just incredible charisma and just kind of that force of nature that not just in the ladies division, but in all of AEW is Toni. That's hard for Mercedes' ego to digest.
Certainly.
I guarantee you in her dressing room, I promise you this, she has never missed a Toni Storm segment.
Sure.
Her ego is beside herself. So I think that's going to work against her.
But I think that that's something that really applies to kind of all of the women. And, you look at Jamie, as I said, a former AEW women's champion, I think a lot of women have felt like they want that spotlight. They've seen the spotlight on Toni Storm for such a long time. We bring in Mercedes Moné, huge spotlight on her. I think those women are, clawing tooth and nail to be able to get back into that spotlight, especially once you've been there and you've got a little taste of what that glory can feel like. You step away from that, that's going to rattle you to your core.
Well, Jamie's biggest weakness is consistency.
Consistency or maybe bad luck, some timing.
We're going to have to find out.
Yeah, we will.
And also,
I'm way against your line of thought here.
Speaking of Toni Storm, knowing how she's been rolling with these title eliminators and all that business, who knows if she's even champion by the time we get to All In. She rolled the dice last year. She wrestled Saraya the week of and put the title on the line.
True.
She's a little spotlight drunk. I think she likes rolling the dice, and has been getting away with it.
But very risky in terms of putting together this marquee match. We talked about that with the guys. It's the same thing with the girls. We're going into this massive Globe Life field, taking over a baseball stadium, our biggest show in the United States. You think Toni Storm, there's no way she's going to miss out on that opportunity to have that version of that spotlight.
Toni going to wear a cowboy hat in Globe Life?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Maybe like a cowboy hat with like a fascinator curtain over it
There you
or
go.
something.
She's
something
going to
like
ride
that.
a Clydesdale to the ring.
When we look at Toni
Lights out.
Toni Storm versus Mercedes, Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter, what is talking to you more? What match do you want to see more at All In?
I can see all the stars aligning for Will and Jamie. That's going to be a very cool, whatever you want to call it, double main event. I don't want to book a show for you, pal. But no, I'm going Jamie, Toni.
Okay.
Obviously, Jamie and Toni have big history. They had multiple title matches. One was one of the best women's matches we've ever had. One ended very abruptly and was very shocking for a lot of people. And when Jamie came back last year, she made it very clear that she's on a redemption tour, and she wants that title back. Not only is Toni Storm a changed woman since then, but so is Jamie. She changed the look, she changed the vibe, she changed the feel. I don't know how it's going to work. I think the hill is a little steeper for Jamie. It's not about just winning. It's also about stopping Mercedes.
Yes.
And no one has figured that out yet.
Yeah.
Let's get to Arizona, kids.
That's right. That's right.
It's just so hot.
I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the finals of both of these matches. Huge ramifications as we get closer to All In, but Double or Nothing, it all goes down. We'll find out who's taking this baby home.
As the desert sun sets, the stars light up the night.
AEW's Double or Nothing.
The event that started it all.
It starts now, and it starts forever.
The brightest stars bring a whole new light.
Double or Nothing. It will be the finals of the 2025 Owen Hart Foundation Tournament.
Because I want to be in the main event.
All In.
AEW Double or Nothing.